Got two sessions. One on a mechanism for tracking all the stuff that you do on the internet, writing comments, writing on wiki, stuff like that. I think it might be the thing that becomes an OpenID killer app, and I guess it's kind of intermediate oriented. And another one on redundant identifier sets, mechanism on how to deal with losing an identifier, whether that's an OpenID or info card. We've got a proof of concept demo, and that's really targeted at expert protocols.
We just added a cool second factor to myopenid.com and talk about the technology and some of the design decisions that went into it and some of the thinking going forward and get some feedback.
So I'm going to present card space and Fedlets and SAML OMI. So looking at where the enterprise touches user-centric, how we can use some of these protocols together, some of the work that we showed at the RSA conference last month, and really how you can get all this working in a very short space of time.
Bob Morgan. My session title is Verified Claims from Here to Reality. Lots of discussion about how do I prove to somebody that I'm over 18 so I can do X. In higher ed space, we're already doing real things with proving that people are students or professors or whatever. I'm interested in discussing how we generalize, how we actually take the real use cases and provide real technologies to support it.
SAML and eat the mic. OpenID and SAML technical comparison in terms of protocol design and implications. They're a medium to expert, though we can do some intro for folks depending on who shows up.
Hi, I've been looking at the differences between user-driven as opposed to user-centric, and I'd like to talk about a certain alternative for VRM infrastructure and implementation of a particular type of application allows users to take control of their data and distribute it on the web on their own terms, etc., etc. It's a specific thing, so unless you're ready for some kind of tool, yeah, there will be general talk as well.
Identity alternatives. I read a blog post recently saying identity is bunk. I believe there are untapped possibilities which don't fit into the existing identity space, and we're going to talk a little bit about those things that don't do it in these current ways.
What to show on an OAuth permissions page. Basically wanted to share some best practices that we've learned through research at Yahoo, as well as learn from anybody that cares as to what they've seen with users and sort of this new paradigm of allowing users to expose their private data to third parties.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to do 3 sessions very quickly. One will be the personal address manager, which is the first standard working through the process of Project VRM. In particular, I'm hoping to get Asa to talk about what he's doing and what the parity folks are doing, and also what the specification is. I also want to start a conversation about what I call user-driven search. Right now, you probably don't realize you are oppressed by Google and others who don't let you take your data elsewhere, such as your search history. So we'll talk. So that's the conversation I want to start there. And then there will be a working session of the VRM steering committee that's open to the public. That will be Wednesday at 11. We can't reschedule that, but that's what it is.
Hi, I'm going to run a session for reputation trust. Both are very, very overloaded term, but I think this is very relevant, especially for something like OpenID. The other session is that tomorrow at 2 o'clock, it's ORMS, Open Reputation Management System Technical Committee, or OSSO. You may join me, but you are not allowed to talk maybe because TC rules for IPR and so on, but it might be interesting.
I want to lead a session called Demand OpenID. It's kind of a brainstorm session about building a tool for users who are interested in OpenID requesting it at new sites they visit?
I'm involved in Project Concordia, which some of you may have heard of, and I promised that group that I would run what I'm calling here a lightning workshop, kind of just a mini 1-hour workshop for anyone who's an identity technology deployer or user who has issues, concerns, or opinions regarding mixtures of technology in your environment. I'm going to be very opportunistic about this. It might float around so as not to conflict with, really, really important stuff up there. So I'm going to ask folks to just jot down if they have interest on the actual piece of paper, and if I just keep an eye out in case it moves, or we can talk later if the session sort of gets pushed out by high prior things.
I don't want to do a technical, I don't want to do a marketing and business session. This time I want to do a political session. We sometimes forget that all this user-centric stuff we're talking about requires a certain political, societal circumstances that it actually works. It's very unlikely that we would be doing user-centric identity in Burma, say. So this gentleman over here, wherever he sits, coined the term the digital deal. So I would like to talk about the digital deal.
Hi, Anthony. John from PGP and I were both interested in doing a discussion on being an identity provider offering strong authentication with PGP or certificates. So that's what we're going to be talking about.
Hi, I'm Joseph Smart from Plaxo. I'm going to run a couple of sessions. One is on a spec that a few of us have been cooking up for sort of a portable contacts API. This could be, a service that's discoverable off your OpenID that shows you who your address book or social graph data is. We've got sort of a draft spec, and we've gotten a lot of really positive feedback from a lot of the big players in the space. So I wanted to socialize it here and get feedback and so forth. It should be a good thing we can work on. And then a second one is I wanted to give sort of a condensed and geekier version of the talk I gave at Web2 Expo about sort of how we see the social web ecosystem opening up and how OpenID and OAuth and OpenSocial and all this sort of stuff fit together and what users and technologies and so forth are going to be used by whom. So, and more as a jumping off point again for feedback and discussion. Thanks.
Thank you. I'd like to do something on giving media an identity, specifically around playlist discovery service, looking at using XRDS as a service discovery protocol for music and media, and what we can do to enable things like better playlist sharing, etc.
Here.
Okay. So, I know, but they're chatting. It's okay. Identity commons, balancing the whole and the parts, and value network mapping. So these are two conceptual tools that I have been thinking a lot about how to think about the network forum that we have. Bob Blakely is getting here tomorrow, and we'll be running a session on a relationship layer and how we might need to rethink identity in terms of relationship. Tomorrow morning, we're going to run a session on identity commons infrastructure with two people calling in who've been working on that, Fen and Paul Trevithick. And Brad Templeton is going to be running a session called Paradoxes of Identity Management. Everything you know is wrong. He's the president of the EF.